Welcome to On the Bench, your sporting centre of excellence dedicated to bringing you news, views and interviews from around our region. So when the World Sporting Lens was this week trained on a court in Pretoria to establish the length of Oscar Pistorius' sentence, our team were out scouring the courts of Woodall Spa, tennis courts that is, in order to secure an interview with Lincolnshire's very own tennis star Jade Windley. And here she is. Hi Jade.
Hi.
And when cycling's press peloton were scrabbling around Team Sky's HQ to secure news that Elliot Viviani is to join the team in 2015, our camera crew were wheeling their way down to Louth to record footage of local road cyclist and owner of Ratio Bikes, Joe White, and we're pleased to welcome him into the studio. Hi Joe.
Hello.
And as well as chatting to the guests, we have our staple diet of ice hockey from the Elite League, where Hull Stingrays were playing both Sheffield Steelers and Fife Flyers this weekend. In addition, we have paper talk, but before all that, let's bring you up to date with the latest sporting scores from around the region in Team Talk. In football this week, the major talking point came from Anfield, where Hull City managed to follow up their impressive 2-2 draw with Arsenal last week, with a goalless draw against Brendan Rodgers' Liverpool. In League One, Mark Robbins is beginning to realise the size of his task as his Scunthorpe team lost 1-0 at home to Notts County, leaving them camped at the bottom of the league table. For Grimsby Town and Lincoln, all eyes were on the FA Cup qualification, where victory at the weekend would have meant a place in the first round and a potential money-spinning draw. As it happened, the Mariners made a relatively light work of Conference North Guiseley with a 3-0 home victory, whereas it was a different affair at Sinsel Bank, where Lincoln City could only manage a 1-1 draw at home to Alfreton, and will have to go to the Midlands in the week to try it all over again. In Rugby Union, there were a number of high-scoring results at the weekend, the pick of which was Market Raisin and Louth's spanking of Spalding by 62 points to 0. Lincoln's first 15 were involved in a much tighter affair at the weekend against Aylestone St James, but managed to come out as victors by 16 points to 10. A converted try from 19-year-old second row Lewis Rothenberg and 3 penalties from Luke Chaplin was enough to see Grimsby over the line and ensure a second consecutively victory. There was also one result in lacrosse where Hull lost 6-2 at home to Liverpool. So now let's turn our attention to the first of our 2 guests, road cyclist and owner of company Ratio Bikes, Joe White. But before we talk to him, I ventured down to Louth to see Joe in his natural environment on his bike. So I'm here with Ratio Bikes. I'm here with Joe and Jonathan, who are team members. Just introduce yourself for me.
I'm Joe, I'm one of the riders, but I'm also the owner of Ratio Bikes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, I'm 16, I'm a team member of Ratio Bikes and I'm looking forward to a successful season with them next year.
So Joe, just talk to me about how you got into cycling originally.
I came from a mountain biking background. While I was in college, I bought a nice mountain bike. I started riding a lot. I did 1 or 2 races. From there, I transitioned to the road. Once I started racing on the road, I never looked back.
So what are the main differences, other than the obvious, between mountain biking and road biking?
The main difference for the racing is that a mountain bike race will tend to be individual. You won't tend to operate as a team, and it's one constant long effort throughout the whole race. Whereas a road race, you tend to maybe have a team around you, and you tend to have a big group, and you can freewheel, you can attack. So it's a very different style of racing.
So effectively, each person in that group has got a different role, really?
Yeah, you can have climbers, you can have sprinters, you can have just very strong riders who are able to pull back breakaways. So there's a lot of tactics involved.
Okay. Jonathan, how did you originally get into cycling?
I started a couple of years ago, just biking up to the Clickerman pub, just do 15 miles or so on a mountain bike, and then progressed more as I enjoyed it, you know, and got me away from school. I could think
Homework.
I could think about things, and I just took it to the next level and just really got into it.
So how long have you been doing it more seriously?
Seriously, I've been doing it for about 2 years.
Okay. And how has your last season gone?
This season, or last season, it's gone quite well. I've just won the regional championships of the hill climb, so I'm really pleased with that.
That's brilliant. So if you can just show me your bike and how it works and just talk me through that.
The first thing you'll notice about any road bike is it is very light. This is my training bike, so it's a little bit dirty at the moment. The material tends to share a lot with Formula One and aerospace. It's made of carbon fibre, so it's very, very light. It has a lot of other features. Obviously the gears tend to be a little bit more specific towards road racing, so you will find maybe larger gears tailored towards the road.
Yeah.
It has a lot of other features. For example, down here we have a power meter, which will tell me exactly how many watts I'm putting out at any one time, which means that you can train so much more specifically.
And what about the general frame of it? Because this is curved, it's a lot more kind of smooth looking rather than a normal bike.
Yeah, so the latest thing in cycling at the moment is aerodynamics.
Okay.
So obviously when you are travelling at 30 miles an hour in a race, you don't want to be travelling on a brick. So we have, obviously if you looked at this from the front, you'd see that it's very, very sleek, it's very narrow,
Yeah.
which just means it's going to be much more aerodynamic. When you're racing as well, you would have aerodynamic wheels on, which are a lot deeper,
So these aren't your racing wheels?
No, these are just
Okay.
for training on.
Right.
So my racing wheels would tend to be significantly deeper, which would just make it much more aerodynamic, and of course they're going to be lighter as well.
Okay, so what's the main differences that you're looking for from when you're training to when you're on the road in an event?
In terms of the actual shape and style of the bike, it's going to be exactly the same. A lot of people tend to keep one bike for both training and racing. The main thing you will do is swap out the wheels, which will make things a lot lighter. When I'm training, I'll also attach things like my pump and my spare inner tube to my bike, so I don't have to carry them. But in a road race, you're not going to want to carry them.
Great, so if anybody wanted to get in touch with Vasio Bikes, you've got your website, which is vasiobikes.com.
We have.
You've got Facebook.
We've got Facebook. We also have Twitter as well.
What's your Twitter handle?
It is Ratio Bikes.
Easy as that.
Easy as
Perfect. Okay, so anybody can get in touch if they want to get more information.
Of course.
Great, thank you very much for your time today, guys. Cheers. It was good to see you out on the bike there then, Joe. So how's this season gone for you?
It's gone really well. I've got some good races under my belt. I've got plenty of points. I managed to get entries some pretty big events like the Milk Race, where they've closed down the entire city centre of Nottingham, and they've held some very big races there, and it's been a very good season.
Cool, and that's on the back of obviously your accident last year, so hopefully we're starting to move forward a little bit. Have you got big ambitions for next year?
Yeah, I want to keep progressing next year. I want to start getting some bigger titles, getting to see even more bigger races, get some good results. And then obviously we've got a thriving junior programme which we're trying to get going as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second as well. So how do you find competing and also managing the business which is Vasio Bikes?
In some respects it's quite easy. It's the same thing. It's what I love. I love racing bikes, I love riding bikes, I love talking bikes. So in terms of running a business, it's exactly what I want to do. But yeah, obviously, you know, in terms of time demands, it is quite constraining, and cycling is a very time-intensive sport to train for.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite technical, which is what we saw there in the clip, because we were talking about your bike and things. So is that a benefit for you, being able to know the technical side of it as well as what you need to do nutrition-wise and training-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know exactly what equipment's on the market, I know what's the best, I know what I want to use, and then, like you say, nutrition-wise, I know what I can get hold of, and of course it means I can get better prices on everything.
Bonus. And you've got a slight injury at the minute. So what's that done in terms of adapting your winter training?
We're still relatively early in terms of the winter training, so it's not making too much of a problem. It's only a small wound, but it's just going to knock me off for a few days, unfortunately.
Be fine.
Yeah,
be fine. And Jade, you're just coming on the back of an injury as well. Excuse the pun.
Yes, yeah, I am lower back. I had a scan in the summer and it's not great. I've got a lower disc injury, so fingers crossed it will recover soon.
So again, is that you doing quite a lot of winter training and things around there?
Yeah, I always do my pre-season in December, quite heavy endurance and strength and conditioning. So hopefully I'll be able to do that with my back. We'll see.
Perfect. And you're hoping to be back for beginning of next year?
I hope so, or I mean latest by the grass court season, but we'll have to see how the recovery goes.
Great. Well, hopefully we can catch up with you next year as well, and everything will be hunky-dory.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you mentioned there about your youth development programme. So just talk to me about that.
It's just something that we've really wanted to get going in our area. We've had a huge lack of young talent coming through, but with the huge increase in cycling now, it's becoming more and more popular. And we have got quite a few junior riders who are coming around, they may be riding by themselves or with a couple of friends. So what we're trying to do now is try and get us all together, trying to get a few rides going, where we can all go out and hopefully we can introduce them to racing and get them actually competing at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we met Jonathan there in the video clip. So how did you get into wanting to go in that direction in terms of development for the youth?
It's just something that I think needs to be done. With any sport, you've got to have the entire structure from start to finish. So if you've got no juniors coming through, you've got no competitors for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's got to be done. And in terms of our area, we were lacking. We are starting to get some good youngsters coming through now. So it's nice to be able to help them, and hopefully we can get some more young competitors.
Yeah, so how do you see it going over the next few years with Vasio Bikes and the kind of team's development?
Well, what would be quite nice if we could get some more sponsors on board, get a bit more investment into the sport, and it would mean that we can help fund some of these youngsters, help maybe get them some more races. And obviously the more exposure that starts getting, the more people are going to get involved.
I mean, one big thing for exposure this year was the Tour de France. That was huge for this area, especially with it being in Yorkshire. So how do you think that's impacted with the interest for the sport?
I think it's had a huge impact. I mean, obviously in terms of the TV coverage, there's been a huge amount. It's shown in almost every country around the world now. But if you look at the number of spectators on the side of the road, there were so many people. There were thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I went up to one of the stages and you could not move. There were so many people. And obviously a lot of those are youngsters, and a lot of those may be families with children who are hopefully going to get into cycling. So it is going to keep boosting the sport over and over again.
Yeah, and just quickly as well, how can people get in touch with you and the team with Ratio Bikes?
You can visit our website, ratiobikes.com, search for us on Facebook and Twitter, we're also on there. If you want to get in touch with us as well, if you're a junior, get in touch with us. We also have a Facebook group for cycling development in Grimsby, so if there's any youngsters involved, please get in touch.
Perfect, thank you very much for that. That's all for part one. Join us again in part two when we'll be chatting to our second guest, local tennis star Jade Windley, and as well as bringing you ice hockey highlights from Hull Stingrays' match against Fife Flyers on Sunday night. On top of that, we'll also have our usual roundup and discussion on the sports stories that have caught our guests' attention in the papers this week. So make sure you join us in the second half.
It finds Meyer. Meyer flicks it all the way back to Galbraith. Can find Davidson. Oh! And it came off. Galbraith chucks it on net. Danny Stewart got the poke on it.
Welcome back to part two, and turning our focus from the road to the court, we're delighted to have on the bench with us tonight local WTA tennis professional Jade Windley. To those who don't know Jade, she's been making great strides in the world of tennis, reaching a new best ranking of 279 in the world in April, as well as forming a formidable doubles partnership with Samantha Murray. Welcome to the show, Jade. We touched just before on your injury this year. How was your season up until April?
Up until April, it was actually going really well. I was progressing nicely. I hit career high world rankings in April and also became British number 5 in singles and 3 in doubles. So overall, yeah, it was going really well. Unfortunately, had a little setback now.
That's always the case, isn't it? It
Yeah.
goes so well, and then obviously injury strikes.
Yeah.
So how are you finding it with your rehab and everything?
I guess it's going okay. It's very frustrating, but I'm doing a lot of Pilates and strength and conditioning, and I'm due to have facet joint injections soon. So.
Sounds
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to that, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll be okay.
Yeah, and what's your kind of the winter look like for you? Have you got anything in mind that you're wanting to do to strengthen yourself?
Yeah, I hope to gradually progress my strength and conditioning so I can enable myself to do squatting and lunging and back to weights, but at the minute I'm not allowed to do any heavy impact, so...
Your mum's got to pass you a cuppa.
Yeah, well...
That's always good, always good.
Try and milk it a little bit.
Yeah.
No.
And obviously 5th in the world, in British...
I wish.
Yeah, for British tennis for doubles, wasn't it?
For singles,
and
5
then
and doubles 3, yeah.
Do you have a way of prioritising doubles and singles? Is that just the way it works?
No, each tournament I like to play both. I like to play both singles and doubles, but I guess I have done a little better in doubles. But singles, I like to focus on that as well because the money's a lot better as well.
There we go, happy days. And how does it differentiate between the two, between singles and doubles? Because there are times when you have to play both in one day.
Yeah.
So do you have to change your game plan totally, or how does it change?
I actually enjoy playing both in one day because it's nice to go from an individual sport back to a team. So I quite like it, but yeah, it can be quite gruelling on the body, especially when you have 2 in one day, and if you stay in the whole week, then that's a lot of matches.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If you're more and more successful you are, the more strain it is on your body, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we mentioned there about Samantha Murray. How much time do you have training with Samantha?
Not that much actually. We go down to London for some camps, double specific camps, especially near Wimbledon and the grass court season. But overall, we train separate areas. She's from Manchester. I train in Woodall, so yeah. But we tried to organise our schedule so we could play the same events and link up each time. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And just through the winter as well, then, while you are injured, what is it you're doing to keep yourself occupied?
I'm coaching part time. I've set up the Tennis Buddies Performance Academy with Guy Galpin, who coached me, and David Williams at Woodall Spa. So that's going nicely. It's getting lots of juniors involved in the game and just trying to build up tennis in Woodall really, and just in Lincolnshire in general. And I'm also studying journalism, part-time. But,
Brilliant.
yeah.
So maybe you can coach Joe for a bit of tennis as well.
If you can teach me how to cycle on the road.
There we go. That's a big thing coming up in the future.
Yeah.
I can see you. Tennis on a bike. So what have you got for ambitions for next season then?
Well, I just hope to get fit as soon as possible, and I'd love to be back ready for the grass courts, but obviously not playing, my ranking's going to slip. I might have to rely on wildcards a little bit over the summer, but I'll get myself back into it, and I know what it takes to get back up there. So.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about money and the singles being better than doubles. Yeah. Where do you stand on the men's and the women's? Because this has been a bit of a controversial subject the last couple of years with tennis. So where do you stand on that debate?
Well, I do feel that it should be equal prize money, because at the end of the day we're still competing out there, and I understand that the men play best of 5 sets at Grand Slams, but I mean, if it was up to me, I'd quite like to play best of 5 sets, because my game's based on movement and fitness.
Right. That would suit you actually better.
I mean, it would be very hard on the body. Not at the minute, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I understand where some men are coming from. They think they should deserve more money because they play for longer. But I mean, we're not as strong as them.
Yeah.
So we're doing the best of our ability.
In the future that we can do.
Yeah, I do. I think it's good to have equal prize money.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your viewpoints on that one, Jade. All of us on the bench are wishing you a very speedy recovery, and hopefully next season we can catch up with you as well and monitor your progress from there. So now to ice hockey, where the Hull Stingrays hope to make up their 4-1 defeat against Sheffield Steelers on Saturday night by winning the first of back-to-back league matches against Fife Flyers in the Elite Ice Hockey League. Let's see how they get on.
Possibly even Pasha there, and there's no ice in there. Low zone, quick smack shot, good save from Reagan. Goal! There's the first goal for the Stingrays. 2 minutes 24 seconds. A shot in there, Fife looking for the icing, waved off. Low zone snapshot, saved to Reagan, and I believe it was Dominic Osman scooping up the rebound. Looking threatening once more, but back comes Stingrays. Pass to Tanaka. Tanaka, should have got more on it. Fife were backing him off. Yes, it was more. Davis, and Nicholson, I think, flattened his own goalie, albeit accidentally. I think he's okay. Can't quite see the angle. Yep. Reagan's on the floor, stickless, but he's back up again now and goes off to try and regroup. Davis finds Meyer. Meyer flicks it all the way back to Galbraith. Can find Davis, and and it came off. Galbraith chucks it on net. Danny Stewart got the poke on it, but unfortunately it turned it past his own goal, into his own goal. Galbraith will be credited with the goal. We can't have own goals in ice hockey, and Galbraith will be credited with that one. Chucks it on net. Was going to try to find Matty Davis. Danny Stewart tries to intercept, but can only deflect the puck past Reagan, who's going the other way. Loose play from Chilcott though, and Reba comes into the zone. Dinks it back to Fleming. Fleming, 2-1. And that all comes back from loose play from Jamie Chilcott. The Five Flyers take advantage, and they make this a 2-1 hockey game once again. Fires out to Carl Haynes, big bomb. And great play there from David Brown. And CJ Sartrain making sure there's no way through from Nicholson on the screen. And that's the end of the power play, and it comes up. Chance here for Amato to make it 3-1, and it's saved. He might get a shot here. Is this a penalty shot? He's slashed. The penalty on the play. Loose play there from the Five Flyers. Amato skips past one, and he's got penalised on the way of taking a backhanded shot. He got the shot away, which is probably why the penalty shot isn't called. But a penalty here, I think it's Chamont. Yep, 21 feeds. Avato leaves it for Matty Davis. Matty Davis does a lovely move back. How's that stayed out? How's he missed? What a great play from Matty Davis. Dinks it back to Corey Tanaka, the goalie on the floor, nowhere in sight. All he had to do is bury it and he ends up hitting the bar. A chance for Sammy Towner. Tries to find through the hole. Reagan once again. That's twice Reagan's come up big. And young Sammy Towner in there. Bit of a scramble in front of the net. Deflection off Tanaka, but he clears the second time. And Matty Davis can't quite. Oh, it was offside call. And Nicholson with a dumb play. Absolutely dumb late play on Omar Pasha. Here we go. Eric Galbraith going to skate in and makes it 3-1. 24 seconds remaining. Empty net power play goal from Eric Galbraith makes it Hull Stingrays 3. The 5 Flyers 1, and that's game, set and match for the Hull Stingrays. So into the last 10 seconds, Danny Stewart having words with Carl Lozone. All a bit needless. And that's the end of the game. The Hull Stingrays 3, the 5 Flyers 1. To recap.
So a fantastic win for the Stingrays then, and even with the loss at Sheffield Steelers on Saturday night, player manager Omar Pasha would probably still have settled for 1 victory and 2 at the start of the week. This also means that it is 2 wins in the last 3 league games for the Stingrays, which is obviously encouraging, and if they can repeat the result next weekend at Fife, the Steelers can then go into their double-header with bottom place Dundee, with their sights set permanently on pulling away from the relegation zone. Thanks to Hull Stingrays for continuing to send in their footage. If you'd like your club's results to be featured on the bench, you can contact us on Facebook or Twitter. Now let's have a look at some of the main sporting stories in the papers this week. Jade, what's caught your attention?
Andy Murray's epic match in the race to London. He managed to save 5 match points against Tommy Robredo, which has pretty much sealed his position now, so he can make the Masters at the end of the year. So he's had such a great month. He's won like 3 titles in a row.
Yeah, he's getting good at the comeback, isn't he?
Yeah, very good, and very long 3-setter, so he's going to be tired, but at least he'll be in London ready for one of the biggest events of the year.
So should have a good finish to the year, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
So, yeah.
And Joe, anything that's caught your eye?
Same paper, but we've managed to find that Laura Trotz has beaten Marianne Voss in the Omnium at the Revolution. Basically, we're into track season now, so over the winter, everybody will be focusing on the velodrome, which means we have the Revolution season, which every month there's another event. It was the Olympic Park in London, and next month it's going to be in Manchester.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Thanks to both Jade Windley and Joe White for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for this week, but join us next week when we'll be again capturing all of the best sporting and action and discussion from across the region. As always, you can get us on Facebook and Twitter at On The Bench TV, and if football is your thing, then you can catch us at Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on The Bench Extra. Thank you very much from all of us, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.